me to do?
I don't know, introduce the video to the viewers.
Alright, I can do that.
Are you going to?
Like right now?
Yes, I've started recording.
Yeah, okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to this episode of the podcast. Are we calling it a podcast? What are we doing?
It's kind of a podcast. I mean, it's a podcast like video elements, but like they're not really necessary for the experience. So yeah, I'd say it's a podcast.
Let's call it a podcast. Welcome back to another episode. This is the first episode on the channel that is going to be dedicated to a specific game, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 and is hopefully a prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. So without further ado, I will let my co-host Axolotl Music just take us from here.
All right.
We'll get into the discussion.
All right, full disclosure so everyone's aware, I've played maybe like 30 minutes of Age of Calamity at Pixelguy9's house. So I'm not exactly experienced in this field. I have also played the new Nintendo 3DS version of the original Hyrule Warriors. So don't trust.
Run, by the way. How
I mean,
Hyrule Warriors even run on a DS? I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean it seemed a bit framey, but mostly okay. Like probably better than I was expecting it to. I mean, I don't know. It's been a few years since I played it on that thing, but. So I don't trust my memory.
Yeah. Just before we start, we sort of want to go over our history just with the Zelda series as a whole, just so we sort of have some context and stuff going into this discussion.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I'll start because I have a lesser history. First Zelda game I ever played technically was Link's Crossbow Training, but let's not count that because it's Link's Crossbow Training. So the first game I properly played would have been Breath of the Wild in June of 2017. I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. I didn't really care enough about the franchise back then to get any other games though. I mean, like I really liked Breath of the Wild, but I don't know, I was more focused on other franchises at the time. So yeah, I played a little bit of Skyward Sword, probably about 2021. Like again, big time jump between me playing different entries in the series. Little bit of Skyward Sword, I think I got past like the first area and then I stopped playing because I didn't like the controls.
I don't think you even got there. I'm pretty sure you didn't even make it off the Sky Island.
That's true, I don't think I did. Anyway, then Tears of the Kingdom came out. Really enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom. I guarantee every time I say Tears of the Kingdom, Pixelguy9 is wincing.
Hey, look, I enjoyed it too. Until I didn't, but
yeah, you need to do a video on your channel on why you don't like it.
Well, I mean, I could, but at the same time, all the points have been brought up elsewhere, and I don't really have anything to add to the discussion other than, yeah, I agree with everything that's already been said.
Alternatively, we could do a debate between the two of us on AFK where you go, "Ooh, I don't like this part," and I go, "Nuh-uh."
Maybe. If
anyway,
we're big enough, maybe we can even invite famous YouTuber Skitty Biffy to the thing.
I don't know who that is.
I'll actually, you know what? We could do a reaction video to her 3-hour-long I Hate Tears of the Kingdom video. That could be kind of fun.
Okay.
And that's how we discuss it.
Okay, that works. That works.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
The video's very long. Anyway,
played Tears of the Kingdom, really enjoyed it. Still think it holds up pretty well, although after replaying Breath of the Wild, I think Breath of the Wild I do prefer. Then
I was gonna ask, had your thoughts changed after you?
Yeah, definitely, because I think, I mean, Breath of the Wild's more puzzle based, whether Tears of the Kingdom is more sandbox based, and traditionally I do prefer sandbox stuff, but the thing is the puzzles in Breath of the Wild are just so damn good that like...
Okay, you really need to play more Skyward Sword because that game does have the best dungeons in the whole series.
Okay, I might get the Switch version.
Yeah, you should try a little further.
Yeah, so then played Echoes of Wisdom. I love Echoes of Wisdom, like unironically 2D Zelda I love.
nobody talks about it anymore, but it was a really damn good game.
Yeah, I
loved every second I spent with that game. It was so much fun.
Then I went back and started playing Minish Cap. I got past the first dungeon. I still need to finish it. But yeah, I enjoy, like, I really enjoy 2D Zelda. Like, that is, like, I love those kind of games. So yeah. And then most recently with the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I did all the shrines in Breath of the Wild. I didn't get all the Koroks because I'm not a sadist, but okay. But yeah, I did that, and you've done it multiple times.
Yeah, I did it in Tears of the Kingdom as well, so I'll get to that.
Yeah, and then Tears of the Kingdom, I'm probably like 2 hours in. Like, I'm like towards the end of the Great Sky Island on the Switch 2 edition.
I haven't finished Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition.
I know, I need to do the Master Trial, like the last thing of the Master Trials, but like I just...
Oh yeah.
I don't want to, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to go through all that suffering. That's my problem.
Just watch all the memories and beat Ganon, and then you're done.
Yeah, true. And yeah, that catches up. That's my experience with the Zelda franchise. Although I did play Triforce Heroes at a friend's house, and when I say play, I'm like this was like when I was 8. When I say play, I meant that I went in, we started playing the game, I got upset that I wasn't the blue Link, and then rage quit because I couldn't be blue Link.
I think the less we say about Triforce Heroes, the better. So I think we'll leave it at that, and I might start with my sort of history. It's pretty simple. I started with Breath of the Wild 2.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Not the sequel. I started with Breath of the Wild as well.
Right.
And, you know, I really liked it. I didn't beat it for the longest time. I don't know why. I literally put it off for years. I'm pretty sure I did all of the shrines before I actually beat the game.
Really?
I could be wrong. No, I don't think I did. I did that just after. Still on my, like, technically my first playthrough. All of my 100% playthrough is on my, like, the account that I first started on. Like, it's in the same save file and everything. So I've stuck with it for a long time. And yeah, it's just been, since then, I've pretty much played every Zelda game I could get my hands on. I think next after Breath of the Wild immediately was, I don't remember if it was the Link's Awakening remake or if it was Ocarina of Time 3D. Whatever the case, those two are some of my favorites. They're very good game, especially Ocarina of Time 3D. I mean, talk about timeless, you know, it's perfect, really. But yeah, so my history with the series has just been very all over the place, because I've pretty much, like I said, I've played all the games, pretty much all the ones worth playing, honestly. So Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, I've loved all of them. Breath of the Wild is still my favorite, though. I waited a very long time for Tears of the Kingdom, like everybody else, with bated breath since the announcement. Unfortunately, it didn't quite live up to my expectations. I still think it's a very good game. There's just some parts of it I wish were better designed, and, you know, either that or just not there.
I do just want to add for viewer context, if Pixelguy9 are ever, like, if we're together IRL and I mention the words Tears of the Kingdom in that order specifically, his face turns into like that one Gumball frame with like Gumball just having that look of utter disgust on his face.
Are you talking about Darwin?
Darwin? No, I swear it's Gumball, isn't it?
Pretty sure it's Darwin that you're talking about.
Hang on, disgusted Gumball face. No,
I mean, it could be both.
Yeah, that's true. I looked it up.
There's a lot of that. Peak Show.
Yeah, no, it's the exact same face, copy and pasted. Hang on, I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, yeah. Look, not a bad game, but yeah. So I suppose that brings us to now, where we have a new Hyrule. Oh wait, we should probably also touch on Age of Calamity as well.
Yeah.
Age of Calamity, I really liked it for what it was. I wish it wasn't what it was. I wish it was more like what they said it was, which it wasn't. Which
Nintendo lying. When has that ever happened before?
For added context, the game was, I mean, it wasn't marketed with the word prequel, but they were very much
implying
in the marketing. Yeah, they were very much like everywhere. Like, you know, it's the sort of like tagline that they have in the directs or whatever. They were very much constantly like, experience the story 100 years before Breath of the Wild, which, you know, if that doesn't scream prequel, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it wasn't actually a prequel. It was an alternate timeline what if scenario, which would have been pretty cool to know about before the game came out, but, you know, whatever. And I mean, there were hints. It's not like there wasn't anything pointing towards it being a prequel and then they changed their minds. It's just they didn't market it particularly well, or dare I say honestly.
Yeah.
But look, what matters is that the game came out and it was actually very good despite problems with the story.
Yeah, the story, the main problems with it come down to the story, if I'm correct on that.
And, you know, the story that's there is pretty good. It's just like,
It's
wasn't
not what fans
we were
wanted.
promised. No, not really. But what's there is decent. It's passable. It's good for a Warriors game. Yeah, and basically Age of Calamity, gameplay wise, it's like really great. You know, all these different characters. I was just playing to get the background footage that you're seeing now, just earlier today, right before we recorded this. And it still feels really great to play, even on the Switch 1. I haven't played the Switch 2 version. I don't know if there's any improvements or not. I'm assuming...
What do you mean there isn't a Switch 2 version?
There isn't a dedicated version, but I assume that the Switch 2 running Age of Calamity is a lot smoother than the Switch version. Even then, it's still perfectly playable for the most part, and... yeah, it's very it's a very fun time. It's a Warriors game, so don't go into it expecting an absolute masterpiece or anything. But it's a fun time, and that's really good. But yeah. I suppose that brings us now to where we are with the reveal of the new Hyrule Warriors game, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment, which is confirmed. Hopefully, I will get to this. Hopefully to be an actual prequel to Tears of the Kingdom and fill in the gaps between the events that we see during the Imprisoning War and those that we see in the present, which on paper is a really cool idea. And we actually, can I just say, like, we called this. Like, I was kind of joking when I said it in the podcast episode when we were giving our Switch 2 predictions. And then it actually happened, which is kind of crazy. I wasn't expecting it to happen or anything. I promise I have no inside information.
Guys, his uncle works for Nintendo.
No.
His cat works for Nintendo.
I don't have a cat, but
his uncle's cat works for Nintendo.
I don't think his cat does a whole lot of anything, if I'm being honest.
Thud works for Nintendo?
Maybe. I don't know. I should ask her. Anyway, the whole the reveal was pretty cool. You know, it was pretty standard, honestly. They didn't show too much. It was pretty basic. They still haven't shown a whole lot, which is one of the reasons why I'm a little worried, but we'll sort of get to that. So with this game, what were your initial thoughts? Let's just start with that. What were your initial thoughts upon seeing the thing? My
initial thoughts were, hey, that's pretty cool. And not much more.
Yeah. My thoughts were, wow, I predicted this. And also, hey, this is pretty cool. I liked Age of Calamity, and this looks to be more of that. So I'm not complaining. But I think now is sort of the time that I might talk about some of the problems that I've felt, or some of the mixed feelings I've had on this that have sort of come out since that initial reveal. Is there anything else you want to add before I sort of make a start?
Not really. I mean, I think from the limited stuff we've seen, I think it looks decent. I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the video yet, but I am getting every Nintendo published game for the Switch 2. That is like my goal. So I was saying, like, no matter what, I will be getting this game. So yeah.
Well, I still don't have a Switch 2, and I'm probably not going to have one for a very long time. So I'm going to hold off. Definitely on this. I'm going to watch all the cutscenes like as soon as it comes out, because as we'll sort of get to the stuff. Actually, you know what? Let's just get into it right now. I don't think I'm worried about this game for a couple of reasons. The first being that, much like Age of Calamity, we haven't seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that they are very loosely using the term canonical prequel, which they've used a lot in regards to this game. It's the core part of the marketing. It is actually, like, they've said it is going to be a prequel. But, well, actually, no. See, here's where I'm at. They've never said the word prequel, right? They've said the canonical story leading into Tears of the Kingdom. And my biggest worry is that they basically do what Age of Calamity did, and then say, oh, but it is actually canon, but it's like a separate continuity. So we technically look. I don't know. I've been burnt before with this, and I don't want to be burnt again. But I get the feeling that there's something they're not telling us about this release. That, you know, hopefully none of this comes to fruition, and it is really good, and it is actually a prequel and stuff, and all of that. But I don't know. I'm still unsure. And the stuff I've seen in the trailers hasn't exactly given me confidence in that it is going to be like, okay. I think with all that out of the way, let's sort of talk about the newest trailer, because this one's had the most stuff in it that's been sort of curious.
Let me pull it up on my screen.
Yeah, I'm doing stuff on mine, but I already know everything I'm going to talk about with this. There's not a whole lot.
I don't. I'm letting you take charge of this one.
There's not a whole lot of stuff in it that was like that really stood out to me. One of the big things though was, and I feel like we should just get this out of the way right now, is what looks to be a Link construct.
Yeah, I want to quickly say, the biggest fear I have for this game is that Link is going to be in it. I don't want Link in this game.
That's mine as well.
Like, I don't want Link here. Get him out of here. I love Link.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Love his character, especially in Breath of the Wild: Tears of the Kingdom. But
less known Tears of the Kingdom for me, but yes.
Yeah. No, he's better in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But I don't want him in this game. This game should be about Zelda.
It should be about Zelda and the characters that she meets in the past and stuff. And, you know, that looks awesome. You know, yeah. I really, like, we actually, more than most, we really connected. You know, I know you really liked Rauru and Sonia as characters.
Yeah.
And I did too, for what little screen time they had. And I know there's like a lot of flaws with their characterization and development, and you know how little time they actually get in Tears of the Kingdom, but I liked what was there. I did find them to be quite likable characters, and I really want to see more of them and their interactions with Zelda, and just the little things, you know, like what does life actually look like in the ancient past when the imprisoning war takes place? What do the other, how does, because we don't see any other like people really. Like we see a couple of Hylian looking people, but they have like longer ears. I don't know what the deal is there, but see, we don't know anything, but this just general Tears of the Kingdom complaint coming up here. This might happen a couple times. What Tears of the Kingdom does is, so what Breath of the Wild did really well, right, was it left a bunch of questions to be answered, but it sprinkled around little clues and hints around the place, so you could sort of piece together theories. What Tears of the Kingdom does instead is it front loads you with a bunch of stuff and then doesn't provide anything for you to actually, do any, like there's nothing that you could do with that information or lack thereof. It's just there,
Yeah, and that does not sound enjoyable.
No. But thankfully, this game hopefully rectifies some of that. But basically, sort of just going back to what we were talking about with the Link construct, I don't think, I mean, it's not literally going to be Link. I get the feeling that, well,
it could be him like sending his consciousness back in time with the rewind room or something.
I don't know. That's, oh look, I don't know. But time travel stuff, I just wish Tears of the Kingdom didn't have time travel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be real. Or if they, if they did.
I'm saying this now. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to movies and stuff like that is introducing time travel as a plot point when it was never intended as one to begin with. Like, I love time travel media when it is designed around time travel. Like stuff like Back to the Future, Doctor Who, I love it. But something like when they just introduce it for the sake of it because they're like, oh yeah, we can do something with this. It's like, but that was never the concept. Why are you doing this now? It just feels like kind of lazy writing to me.
I mean, that's a good point. My biggest problem with Tears of the Kingdom's time travel is that it's been done in the series so many times, and I just wanted to see something new. You know? Like, it was a major plot point in Skyward Sword. Of course, it was in Ocarina of Time. It was in Majora's Mask. It was in Wind Waker to a little bit of an extent. It was also in Twilight Princess a little bit. And it's like, pretty much every game in the series has a bit of time travel. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just, I felt like Breath of the Wild was such an innovative game, and it didn't have any of that time travel stuff. And I wanted the sequel to more or less continue that innovation by giving us things we hadn't seen before, or things that weren't super predictable, but instead it rehashed events and, you know, did all of that. But basically the time travel stuff is also really confusing in Tears of the Kingdom, because I don't know if you remember this, but Rauru, there's like a whole cutscene in Tears of the Kingdom where Rauru talks to Zelda. It's right after Sonia dies. And he says, yeah, we should probably clarify that. Spoilers for the whole Zelda series here.
Spoiler warning for games that all came out well over 2 years ago.
Yeah, the story's bad anyway, so it's not like I'm spoiling anything.
Yeah.
But basically, so right after Sonia dies, we get this cutscene with Rauru where he's talking to Zelda about how he thinks the time travel works. And he's just wrong. Like,
great.
The time travel that we see in the game works differently from the time travel he describes. And you could argue that being, oh, he doesn't actually know how it works, then why have it in the first place?
Okay.
Yeah, the whole time travel stuff's really confusing, but I get the feeling it's going to get a lot. Okay. Just in general, my thoughts in general surrounding Age of Imprisonment is that it is either going to fix the story in the past,
or make it 10
or
times
it's going
worse.
to make it, or it's going to make it worse. Yeah. And I hope so badly it doesn't make it worse, because like the story in the past is it's not the part of the story I have the biggest problem with in Tears of the Kingdom. I despise the stuff in the present and how that is implemented. So, like, absolutely poorly. So the story in Tears of the Kingdom's past is, you know, fine. It has a lot of flaws, like a lot of them. But my main problem is the stuff in the present and how it's static. You know, nothing you do influences anything in the story. Even like an alternate, like little bit of dialogue, there's none of that. You know, you can discover Zelda becomes the Light Dragon. Spoilers again. Like you know, you can beeline all the memories and do all of that. You can discover that, and nothing changes about Link's quest to track down the fake Zelda. And he can't even tell any of the other characters anything about that. So it's just this Scooby-Doo chase the whole game.
Yeah.
With no way to actually tell people the solution that you have before you even get to the first dungeon, you know, because the first memory that you're supposed to get is on the way to the first dungeon. So by then you already know, oh, she's in the past, so who's this then?
Yeah.
But then you can't convey that in any way. Anyway, look, that's the problem with the story in the present. The story in the past has some other problems, but I get the feeling that I feel like it can be solved with some explanations and some more things, which I hope Age of Imprisonment does. I want it to do so badly, because if the story in the past is fixed, which I like most of it, you know, like on paper, I think the stuff in the past is really cool, you know? It's just a matter of execution, and I feel like that can be fixed, but I'm really worried it's not going to be, and it's just going to make things worse.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid fear.
Because, you know, you have things. So one of my biggest concerns is that the game is going to add a bunch of new things and then not explain their absence in Tears of the Kingdom. Like in the trailer alone, you know, we see multiple new types of enemies. You know, we see what look like upgraded and, like, you know, much beefier versions of the bosses in Tears of the Kingdom. We see what looks like I
can't wait to fight Muktarok again.
Yeah, well, it looks like a completely different version of Muktarok. Like, it looks like completely distinct.
Okay, so I defend Tears of the Kingdom on a lot of things, but Muktarok is inexcusable.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Muktarok sucks. Easily the worst boss.
Queen Gibdo. Once you understand,
Queen Gibdo is
like,
actually really good.
You can have fun with Queen Gibdo. The game just doesn't do a good job of conveying the best way to fight her. That's the problem.
Fighting Queen Gibdo is really fun if you don't use Riju. Just don't use her full stop. She's terrible. Her ability is one of the, like, okay, I'm not going to go off on a whole tangent here. We can save this for another time. But it is by far the worst of all the stages. Easily. Yeah. It's the one I mean, I don't use the stages outside of their dungeons. I do that on purpose because I just hate using them.
Well, I mean, I use Chulin everywhere.
Riju especially.
Movement.
Yeah, I would never use Riju because I can just fuse any number of consumables to my weapons and have the exact same effect instead of having to wait for her to do the same thing.
I feel like that's kind of a problem when you have a game that's so sandboxy that you're gonna find easy ways to exploit the system and not have to do it the way the game wants you to.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
While we're on sort of a topic of...
I did not at all actually do the Fire Temple. I just cheesed it.
Did you just skip most of it?
I just skipped all of it. I didn't do a single puzzle in that thing.
What I'd recommend is after you beat Breath of the Wild Switch 2 version and you go back to Tears of the Kingdom, what I would really recommend doing is try as hard as you can to do all the puzzles as intended.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't even trying to skip it. I accidentally did it.
Yeah. See, that's what's sort of really weird. Anyway, look, so while we're sort of on the topic of gameplay and sandboxy and stuff, I want to talk about Age of Imprisonment because, you know, a lot of my big problems with the game currently, as it are, you know, without any sort of explanation, my problems are almost entirely story-based. Because the gameplay looks really good, you know? Like, Age of Calamity, like I said, it doesn't run amazingly on Switch, but on Switch 2, Age of Imprisonment, I mean, just right off the bat, like, it looks so much better.
Yeah.
Age of Calamity had this thing where, because it wasn't on Breath of the Wild's engine, they couldn't replicate the cell shading exactly, so it ended up looking a little off in a lot of scenes, especially when like I found especially when the Blood Moon came out in like during the game's sort of like second act with Ganondorf after not Ganondorf with Ganon after the Calamity broke out. There's a lot of fire and malice and all of that, and the colors there, the cell shading they use to try and replicate Breath of the Wild's look, it doesn't look very good in that part, personally. But Age of Imprisonment really does look like they've made a lot of improvements to whatever they've been doing, because there's a lot of shots in the one in particular that really stood out to me was the gameplay of Rauru on like the Sky Island fighting the constructs and stuff in like an arena sort of thing in the new trailer. And it looks really like the shaders look almost indistinguishable from Breath of the Wild, you know? Like they did a really good job making it look a lot more consistent. So I'm excited to see all of that. Okay. And as well as that, the gameplay just in general looks really nice. You know, the HUD, the UI, it's all very similar to Age of Calamity, but you have the new like Zonai abilities and tools and stuff you can use, you know, like we see in the trailer. You can use like the fire hydrant sort of thing to wash like muck off of enemies, which I assume makes them like more difficult and stuff. You have fans, which we see Zelda combo with like electricity stuff to create like unique effects, which is really cool. Tears of the Kingdom had, you know, for all of its interactivity, it didn't have a lot of things you could do, as far as I'm aware, where you could like combo abilities and stuff, which I'm really liking that this is doing that. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Character-wise, they each look like they have fun move sets. I'm a little, I mean, not worried, but like I don't really know what they could do to give the ancient sages move sets, because I feel like I get the feeling they're just going to be really similar to the Age of Calamity characters and the champions there, like Daruk, Mipha, Revali, and Urbosa. I don't know what they could really do to differentiate them a huge amount.
Yeah, I really hope that they really flesh out those sages as characters.
They've said they're going to, which is going to be...
So we should have more than Demon King Secret Stones. That's all I want.
Yeah, I just want their names. Like, I literally just... Like, we didn't even get that, and it's the bare minimum. Like, that's crazy. Just give us the names, and I'll be happy. And, you know, a little bit more. And it looks like each of the... to fill out the roster a bit more, because it is pretty limited, being set in the past and stuff. In the new trailers, we have seen some new characters as well. I sent you a screenshot of one.
Yeah.
But there's another that was like a Rito. I can't tell if I can't tell if the Rito is male or female, but it looks like sort of like a companion or sidekick. In the new trailer, we saw a new Gerudo character as well. So I assume each of the sages is going to have like a companion or something that they can use their sync strikes with, which is another big gameplay thing, which is kind of cool. I feel like so many games have it sort of gets to the point with action games or RPGs or that sort of stuff where it's pretty much like standard that you introduce a mechanic where two characters can team up and do an attack.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Warriors is doing that, at least Hyrule Warriors. I can't speak for Dynasty Warriors.
I always forget that it's not like a Zelda based franchise. I always forget that Dynasty Warriors exists.
Well, there's Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah. Well, no, like I should phrase that weirdly. I always forget that. Like, I always think of the Warriors franchise as just being Zelda and Fire Emblem. I always forget that Dynasty Warriors exists.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know as to whether or not it's like a super... I mean, I'm sure it's a successful franchise, and I'm sure the games are very good. It's just, I get the feeling that the Nintendo ones get far more spotlight just because of brand recognition and stuff.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong here, so don't come after me. But anyway, yeah, so overall, my thoughts on the gameplay and art style and all of that on Age of Imprisonment are positive. I think it looks very good in that regard. It's definitely going to be fun to play. Nintendo don't make games that are bad to play. They don't make games that don't feel good.
Yeah, like there's not really any Nintendo games that like Nintendo's core focus is always like the gameplay and how it feels to play, and that's what I love about Nintendo.
They always knock it out of the park in that regard, no matter what like the quality of the other aspects of the game might be. Except
where it's Kirby and it's literally flipped exactly on its head, and the gameplay is the worst aspect of it.
Oh, okay.
Although that really got fixed in Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land has definitely the best gameplay in the franchise.
Yeah, from even just the demo I played of that was really nice.
They gave Kirby a dodge roll.
They did. It's a Souls-like. I might actually play it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, I completely forgot. There's the little Korok. There's the Korok guy. In the trailer. Did you? Yeah. Yeah. He looks cool. That's an original character.
I still hate Koroks, but
why?
I need you to help me find my friend.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but like, they're also kind of cool. I don't know. You have the most. Why am I the one defend?
Yeah, you have the most reason to hate them.
Why am I the one defending them? I found 1,900 of them. Anyway, the whole idea with sort of creating this game. Okay, there's one more thing I sort of want to talk on, and I don't. Well, actually, I want to take us back to the Link construct for a little bit. Because as a playable character, it's very up in the air what he actually is or does. We don't know yet. Because in the trailer, he turns into a fighter jet. We see him flying around a Gleeok, like in circles, which, means that there's air combat in this game, which, I mean, that's kind of like that's awesome.
Yeah, first of all, that's very cool.
But second of all, like, just what are the implications of who he actually is? We kind of skipped the discussion beyond I don't like it, or at least I don't like where I think it's going. But
yeah,
how do you think he's going to be implemented? Do you have any theories as to, like, I know you suggested earlier, like he could be Link's spirit sent back in time, which
best case scenario, it's like a prototype of the Minoru construct. That's like best case scenario.
I get the feeling Minoru has something to do with it, but I also think, and I think I've talked to you about this, that they've shown a lot of cutscenes of like Minoru walking underground in the game, and like we see her try in this new trailer, we see her try to unlock one of those Zonai doors, and like the thing turns red, like she's not allowed in. So what I'm guessing is, and I could be completely off here, but this is sort of my theory of the moment, is that whatever this construct is, it is before Rauru and Sonia, back from when the rest of the Zonai were on the surface as well. As to what its purpose is and why it looks exactly like Link, I have no idea.
I've
seen some theories.
I hope the game expands on that like ancient Zonai warrior outfit that's in Tears of the Kingdom.
See, I've seen some theories that the Link construct and that thing are related somehow, but I'm not really sure how, because Age of Imprisonment, and by extension the Imprisoning War, take place so far before even the 10,000 years ago period where that ancient hero appears, that I feel like him appearing would be more of a like cameo / like Easter egg outfit than it would, or something like that, than it would be an actual lore explanation or something. Yeah. Because I get the feeling, do you sort of get what I'm saying? Because you have in Age of Calamity, you can unlock if you 100% the game, you unlock the original Hyrule Warriors Link outfit. And, you know, they'll probably have something like that for the Ancient Hero as well, but I doubt there'll be any lore revelations behind it. Much like how in Tears of the Kingdom, they introduced him and then promptly, you know, pissed off and didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole idea behind the Link construct, my opinions on it are going to be completely shaped by what they actually end up doing with it. For now, I'm very much in the boat of I don't like where I think they're going to take it, but if they take it somewhere else, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, I think as a character he'll be fun to play, but at the same time, I have a feeling he might literally just be introduced. This was one of my first thoughts as well upon seeing him. And also in the previous trailer, before this latest one, where we actually saw him for the first time being constructed or whatever, and we heard Fi's theme, which I'm going to talk about in a second.
Fi's one of the fairies, right?
Fi is the spirit in the Master Sword from Skyward Sword.
Okay, I'm way off.
Yeah. So my biggest worry with the character is that he exists solely so they can reuse Link's moveset from Age of Calamity.
Yeah, that's a very big fear.
I feel like that's sort of that was my initial fear with like them being like, oh, we need to have a Link alternative, which you don't. That was my initial fear. This new trailer though is kind of like proved me wrong a little bit, because he does turn into a fighter jet. You know, he's going to be unique. It's just a matter of like who he actually is that's going to be make or break for me, but we'll sort of see. But on the topic of who he actually is, we do hear very notably in the trailer, in the first trailer where we saw him, we hear, we see the door that presumably he's behind, and we see in the very next shot the construct coming together and being assembled with the green Zonai swirls.
Zonai swirls?
Zonai swirls, yes, man. That monkey's paw curled crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically, the whole I don't know. Okay, a lot of theories are basically saying that Fi could come back in some respect in Tears of the Kingdom, or not in Tears of the Kingdom, in Age of Imprisonment, which I'm not 100% against. What I am against, though, is her taking control of this construct and being like the energy that we see inside of it, and having Fi technically be playable through this. And look, she was playable before in Hyrule Warriors, but I also don't want them to do that.
Yeah.
Because Fi had an amazing arc. Well, I say amazing. She had a good arc. She's one of the better Zelda companions. She's below Midna, but she's above all the others.
Yeah.
So in terms of companions, she's pretty good. But the whole idea of her coming back is kind of cool, and I wouldn't hate seeing her again in some regard. But I feel like in a Warriors game, taking control of a construct of like a random ancient civilization or whatever, it just feels a little weird. And also it kind of undoes her really emotional send-off at the end of Skyward Sword as well, so
yeah,
there's that. But there's also like some other things too with regards to Fi. I don't think she is going to return personally. I get the feeling with the music they played over the top of that, they chose just because it was mysterious, and the song is just going to be like, you know, they might use it during like a rehash cutscene of, you know, the Master Sword traveling back in time to Zelda that we see in Tears of the Kingdom already.
Yeah.
Which I hope that's what they do. But yeah. That's most of my thoughts regarding the game itself. Although I do have one more thing I sort of want to touch on that I've already told you about. I've told a couple of people about this, but I sort of want to get your thoughts on it and all of that. But before I do that. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we continue?
I know you mentioned to me the other day, back just to the construct quickly. I know you mentioned to me the other day, one of your biggest problems with it is like, how come this wasn't touched upon in Tears of the Kingdom? Why is it only now just being revealed?
Yeah, so this just sort of ties into what I was going to say, but I'll quickly cover this sort of section of it now. With this game, I think the biggest thing for me that's really gonna make or break it is if they, because this game, I'm all for filling in the gaps that Tears of the Kingdom created. God knows there was a lot of them, and I feel like the best case scenario is that this game does that and actually, fills in the gaps and does it properly and makes sure that all loose ends are actually tied up and the plot is explained. But what I don't want them to do is introduce a bunch of new stuff in this game, like we see with, say, like the new characters, like the companions and the Korok guy and the Link construct especially, but then not give an explanation as to why they were never brought up in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
because that would completely break my immersion. And if there's one thing, look, there is one thing that probably the biggest reason why Tears of the Kingdom didn't resonate with me was immersion, because Breath of the Wild to me was a game that above all else felt like a real world that I was exploring and absolutely loved doing so, whereas Tears of the Kingdom felt like a video game.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way of putting it, I think.
It felt like I was 100%. In a video game. Yeah, I felt like I was in a video game doing side quests rather than actually exploring the world and interacting with real people. Because they didn't act like real people. They didn't remember me from the last time I spoke. It felt very...
I've never met this man in my life.
Yeah, exactly. Hestu, I wasn't expecting him to be like, oh, hey, I remember you. You found all 1,000 of my little shits, but I wasn't expecting him to do that. But I was at least expecting him to recognize me.
Yeah.
Any of the Koroks for that matter. Link, canonically, Link went into Korok Forest and pulled out the Master Sword. So the fact
they
that
should
nobody
know
knows
who he is.
Yeah, that. People bring up Bolson and everybody in Tarrytown, which is completely, correct, by the way. There's no reason why a town that you helped establish. Yeah. You brought everybody there, so the fact that only Hudson remembers you is crazy. And Bolson doesn't remember you either. But the whole that to me was like the least egregious thing that really sort of kind of radicalized me in terms of not liking a lot of parts of the story. It was mostly Hestu and the fact that there is no reason why he or the other Koroks shouldn't recognize me.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Anyway, big tangent out of the way. What I'm trying to say is that they need to give explanations as to why this stuff in the game wasn't in Tears of the Kingdom, why we didn't see it. The explanation
better not be, oh, it's an alternate timeline.
Yeah. I'm completely fine with the explanation literally just being as simple as, oh, these people were they were I'm completely fine with having, say for instance, at the same time as, because we know the Imprisoning War was a big event. We don't see any of it, but we know the Imprisoning War was this huge event spanning all of Hyrule. I'm completely fine with having, the sages and Zelda confront, Ganondorf down in the sealing chamber with Rauru. That's cool. I'm completely fine with that, but don't retcon the new characters into that scene as well, because we know they weren't there.
Yeah.
So don't try and put them in there, just have them off doing something else. The Imprisoning War, like I said, was a Hyrule spanning event. And just have them defending their people, have missions where they're doing where they're defending their own towns and stuff.
Yeah, and that's another thing. The game really needs to lean into that sense of grandeur, because it is a massive war. They really need to highlight that.
But I feel like the trailers have showed that, personally. I get the feeling that it is going to do that.
It needs a sense of scale. That
is something Age of Calamity absolutely excelled at. But overall, closing thoughts regarding the game. For me, I'm not really going to have a verdict until I either, well, not play it. I'm not going to have a verdict until I watch Bread Bear or I'm not going to have a verdict until I watch a all cutscenes compilation. Just cut out the first part of that because I think I got the guy's name wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a verdict. For a little bit, we will see. Would you be keen on maybe doing a follow-up video after it comes out and you've played it and I've watched the cutscenes and we talk about it
definitely.
a bit more?
Definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like it's the sort of thing that like we'll have like quite a bit to discuss on.
Yeah.
So I think that sounds good. Do you have any closing thoughts about the game or what you're sort of looking forward to, or any hopes? Yeah.
All right then.
I mean, you're less of a fanatic than I am.
Yeah. Zelda's definitely your area of expertise.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you sort of let me lead this episode a little bit. So thank you. That's all
right.
That's pretty much this whole thing. If you want to close us out,
subscribe to our YouTube channel, or we're gonna skin your dog.
Don't. Whoa. Hey, okay, wait. We're not gonna do that.
Probably.
But like, also you should subscribe anyway. You know, because you can never be too sure.
And I'm always watching.
Anyway,
if your finger gets a little too close to that unsubscribe button, I will find your dog. Okay, bye.